Hi, my name is James Pask and thanks for watching this video. So today's video we're talking about how other people's energy is affecting you. And it's such an important topic, and in the Living Spirit program actually covered this over 2 whole modules because it's has such a big impact on people. I see this all the time in my clinic over many years, and it's such an important topic to cover because, let's face it, your day-to-day experiences are all about you relating with people constantly. There's 7.4 billion of us on the planet. We're all in families, relationships, work environments, and there's people everywhere. And we have these interactions with people. And there's so much more going on than what we can see and feel with our normal main senses. There's energy dynamics taking place. Our auric fields are interweaving. Our thoughts and our feelings are going out as vibrations and affecting both ourselves and other people, and theirs are affecting us as well. And so it's such an important thing to cover. So in the last video we talked about how there's these spiritual laws that govern our reality, and these same laws govern how your energy interplays with other people and how they then become an effect, whether it's positive or negative, on you. And so it's really important to understand what those laws are and how to apply them into your life, how to manifest and make things the way you want it to be, but also how to avoid harm and getting yourself into situations where it creates a negative impact on you. Whether it's with yourself or with other people. So it's really important to look at. We spoke about the cause of repeating patterns. We spoke about the law of attraction, and we spoke about how things aren't random. There is a mechanism of creation. There are spiritual laws that govern that mechanism of creation, how something goes from mind or thought into matter. And there's a mechanism of creation that takes place. There's spiritual laws that govern how that comes into play. And it's the same things with repeating patterns in your life, with pain, with issues, with being unlucky in love, whatever it is, they all come back to these spiritual laws. So I wanted to just cover, there's 7.4 billion, roughly, other humans on the planet. And we spoke about the light globe in the last video, and how your spirit is like the electricity, and the light globe is like your body and your mental and your emotional body. And they've got this life force, this spirit that emanates and shines out through these other areas, your mental, emotional body, and creates those things out in the world. It's the energy that gives those things vibration and energy, and so they go out into the world and things of similar resonance will be drawn to you. And those thoughts and feelings are a cause to an effect. So those thoughts and feelings are going out into the world and they're creating things. They're creating vibrations and patterns out in the world. And so you've got 7.4 billion people with their thoughts and feelings going to the world. And in the last video we spoke about how 2/3 of the things people are thinking about on a daily basis are the things they hate and fear. The other ones are things they love. But 2/3 of the time they're thinking negative thoughts. And this is why people are riddled with anxieties and depressions and worries and fears and all these different things. Because it's what they're thinking and feeling in their light globe, and their spirit, the electricity, is shining out and giving that to them in their reality. And so you've got 7.4 billion people around the world with all these little bubbles of thought. As you're thinking, it's like that little drawing you see when people draw, and there's a little bubble and their thoughts are going through there. And those thoughts, they're like little bubbles popping up everywhere, little bubbles of creation of thoughts, and then they think something else, and that little bubble of thoughts there floating around in the air. And so we're literally living in a soup of thought and feeling and energy and creation energy that yourself and others are creating. And so it makes sense then, doesn't it, that you would be affected by, if all of these thoughts are negative, that's going to have an impact on you energetically. There's a resonance there that you can see and feel. It's just like if you watch a horror movie compared to a beautiful comedy that makes you feel happy and alive, and you see there's a difference in the energy. And this all comes down to thought. The reason why you feel that energy when you're watching a horror movie, because you're thinking and feeling certain things compared to if you're watching a comedy movie. And so this energy, these bubbles of energy are out there all around us, and we're walking through this constantly at your work, in your home, out there, and when you go to the bank, the post office, just out there. And that's why nature's so good, because there's less of it and it's dispersed and it's cleared by the natural world. So then there's that. So for example, if you're a social worker and you're around people, and you're talking to people about how they're feeling upset, sad, depressed, the bubble of thoughts, energy that you're in every day. Or if you're a nurse and people are sick and so on, if you're at work and it's a high intensity, stressful job, people are go, worried, stressful, meeting deadlines, the bubbles of energy there have an impact. And so we want to know how that impacts us and what we can do about it, how we can clear it. But then there's the other time where people they focus their life force energy through their thoughts and their feelings, and they're sending targeted, directed energy at you. And It can be hate, envy, hope. It can also be positive, of course, but we don't have to do anything about that. That's beautiful. We want to experience that. But there's a lot of times where people are directing at you through their life force and through their thoughts and their feelings, directing energy at you that has a negative impact on you. So it could be hate, envy, hoping you fail, jealous because you got that promotion at work, angry at you, and so angry at you because of the discussion you just had and they felt that you got what you wanted and they didn't get what you wanted. You might have gotten a promotion at work and the other people are jealous and hating you and hoping you mess up the role so that you look bad. And all these things, it's a very focused and targeted energy. And you have this energy field around you and that can come in and has an impact on you. I've drawn a little knife there because that's a very common one I find, is that knife in the back scenario when people are sending you bad energy. There's psychic projections that people are going to send at you. The other one is curses. These things sound like they're very esoteric, but it's very, very common. Most cultures talk about, and most people have heard about, like, oh, there's a family curse, or this, I feel like I'm cursed. These things are real. I've come across these many, many, many thousands of times throughout my career. And so it's important to know about these psychic projections. There's a difference between a projection and a curse. Projections are where people are thinking this, they're not really intending you harm, but they're sending at you anyway. A curse, they're really intending to harm you, and that's a bit more serious. But either way, you need to know about them and how to clear them. Energy vampires. How many times have people been around someone, you meet them at a party, you're talking to them, you're on the phone with them, and you just feel so drained after talking to them. They walk away and you're like, oh man, I was feeling good and now I'm just exhausted. And this is what we call an energy vampire. And this is very common. And this is your precious life force. You don't want to allow people to be sending stuff to you, harming you, and draining your energy. So we need to know about these things. We need to know how, and again, they're all governed by spiritual laws. And there's things you can do about this to stop yourself from being impacted by this and shift these things and change them around. It's important. I'm really passionate about getting this out into people's hands so they have this knowledge, they're empowered, because this is stuff you need to deal with on a daily basis. You don't go and see someone for healing once off and it's all taken care of. You need to know how to manage energy, because everything comes down to energy in our reality. Everything is made up of thought and energy. And so we need to know how to govern that world. So many of us, we're looking at the physical world and we're good and we've got skills at doing that. But there's this whole other side to reality, the invisible world of spirit, that has laws that govern that reality. We need to know what they are and we need to start using them in our lives, because otherwise we're only playing with half of what we could be playing with here. And so here we go, we've got the projections, we've got the energy vampires, and then there's contracts and agreements that you make with people. They're valid through time and space. And so it's very important that you're aware of the contracts and agreements you're making with people. Word is your bond. You know, it used to be something that we've got like physical contracts we write down. But what you promise to people, things you agree on, are valid through time and space. So it's very important you're aware of this so that you can, undo any past agreements or contracts that aren't serving you, but also be aware of what you're agreeing to and going into with your future endeavors. So these are 3 areas. All of this here, out of everything I've seen here, I've covered this in a lot of detail in the Living Spirit program in 2 whole modules, because it's such a impactful thing. We need to know what they are, we need to know how to clear them, because it has an impact on your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. These can all be affected by picking up other people's stuff, and it's so important to know about it and how to clear it. And so that's why I want to give you this video, to give you some of this knowledge here. Now the next video we're going to be talking about is your ancestors, because this is other people affecting you. Now you've got this whole ancestral lineage behind you. And we know now genetic diseases can be passed down, but there's things like epigenetics, and we now know through a lot of research, let alone what we've seen in healing world, is that you can be affected by your ancestors, by their limitations, by their traumas. And we need to know about that again, and we need to know what we can do about it. So that's the next video, so I hope you watch that one. I hope this has helped you today, and just have a think about how you are being impacted by others and what you can start doing about it, and how you can put yourself in the way of more positive energy rather than negative energy. It's very important, because it all comes down to energy. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you soon.